So if you guys are thinking of moving to the Colorado area, chances are you're asking yourself, hey, Colorado's great, but where should I move to in Colorado? Do I move to Denver? Do I move to the mountains? What does that look like? Well, chances are you fall into one of three buckets. You're either looking for downtown, faster paced city life, or you're looking for mountains and nature and views, or you're looking for quiet suburban communities. Well, in this video, we're going to break down each one of these three types of buckets, and we're going to give you our personal city and neighborhood recommendations. So regardless of what type of person you are, what is bringing you out here to Colorado, by the end of this video, you're going to have a really good dialed in perspective in terms of what is going to work best for you. So let's jump into it. So let's go ahead and start off with giving just a little bit of overall perspective in terms of what these areas are specifically that I'm talking about. Again, we've got Denver right in the middle of the map. If Will were here, he'd be saying, hey, look at Denver. We've got Denver as the center of the clock. As much as I hate to admit it, Will is 100% right. It lays out perfectly like a clock. Okay, so we've got Denver right here in the middle, right? Now, zooming out from Denver, this is where we then have the metro area, which I'm going to include Boulder up there, all of the foothills, all the way down here to include Castle Rock, all the way up and around Aurora here on the east side. And this is our Denver clock that we're always talking about. As far as this entire area, from Denver out and Denver down, on average, this is about, let's call it 45 minutes. So 45 minutes south is actually 35 minutes south is going to get you to Castle Rock. 35 to 45 minutes north is going to take you up here on your way up to Longmont on the north side. And then we've got the foothills obviously over here on the left side, and we've got Aurora here on the east. And then to give you guys some perspective, as far as if you've ever been here into the airport, Denver International Airport, DIA, that is right over here. So when we mention the Denver metro area, we're really talking about this area overall as a whole. Now, to go deeper into the buckets that I talked about between downtown or the mountains or suburban life, when you guys are coming out here, and we've had conversations with hundreds of buyers from YouTube, in essence, you guys are looking for a lot of the same thing, but also a lot of differences based on, personal situations, family and whatnot. When I talk about these different areas, one thing I do want to iterate is that a lot of times it's not this or that. It can be an and, right? It can be downtown and views. It can be suburb life with a good community and stuff like that, but maybe it's in the suburban area that is a little faster paced and has a little bit more things to do and places to eat and things like that. It's not going to necessarily be these trade-offs, but what is truth is that when people are coming out here, a lot of times there's this one main priority that they're looking for, and then if they can fill the mountain view bucket or the faster paced life, downtown life bucket, they will. But usually when you guys are coming out here, there is one primary objective. So that's what I want to stay focused on for this video. And our first bucket that we're going to jump into here, the first type of people that we see are people that are coming out here and they really want the Colorado experience, right? They want to live as close to the mountains as they can, maybe not necessarily in the mountains, but as close to the mountains as they can. In Colorado, that's what we would call the Front Range. So what that's going to look like over here on the map for you, let me go ahead and just zoom in a touch. The Front Range, as we would typically consider it, would be down here on the southern side, southwest side. So let's call it west of Castle Rock. Okay. Castle Rock is definitely not considered the foothills or the Front Range, but if we go to the left, just to the west of it, this is where we run into Roxborough. Roxborough is actually part of Littleton, believe it or not. We've got Main Littleton up here. We've got Roxborough down here, but Roxborough State Park is a beautiful area. There's some absolutely stunning, gorgeous homes out there. It's also very close to Chatfield State Park. Chatfield State Park is where you're going to have a lot of boating, a lot of camping. This is a really active area, especially in the summertime. A lot of campers come out here. And this is the southern side of what I would consider the Front Range. The Front Range actually, in reality, if you go and look it up before someone fact checks me, the Front Range actually runs all the way down here into New Mexico. All right. But when we're talking Denver metro area, let's call it Roxborough Park. And then that Roxborough Park area is going to come up the west side of 470. So let's talk about our highway here real quick. So 470 is a big loop that goes all around the entire metro area. It cuts up the west side, borders the South Denver area, and then cuts up here on the east side and will take you eventually all the way to the airport. Now, this is a very busy road. It's also a toll road over here on the east side. Over here on the west side, they do have an HOV lane or toll lane so that, you can avoid all the traffic. But this is a primary highway that you're going to use quite often just if you live in Colorado in general. This is also a good line for understanding just where the Front Range is, because because it's going to trace the western border of 470 there. Now, as we work our way from Roxborough Park right here up the Front Range, you don't have a whole lot here between Roxborough Park. So what you do have between here though is this beautiful area. It's called Ken Carl on a map, but in reality, it is just part of Littleton. But this is really where you start coming into some beautiful red rocks. Matter of fact, the same sort of red rock formations that you're going to find at Red Rocks Amphitheater. Here in Ken Carl Ranch, you just have this small kind of pocket of homes, but it's beautiful because you pull in behind the red rocks, and these are just some nice, quiet, private roads. You've got some gorgeous homes that are through here. And actually, let me come over Google Earth. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in here. Just for context, we see 470 here in orange, or I'm sorry, in yellow. I'm going to go ahead and give us our 3D view and zoom in a little bit. So here we've got 470 running right up the middle of the screen. You do have these foothills here, and this is the start of the red rock formations. And then you can see this road cutting right through the middle of these rocks, and then just this beautiful neighborhood that is tucked behind these initial foothills that you have here, and then where it really starts turning into mountains. Man, these areas are just absolutely beautiful. You'll have homes in here at a minimum about $1 million, and I mean they'll go all the way up to 4 million, 6 million, anything right in there. You start to see here we've got some really cool formations. And what I love about this area, in addition to some of these others that we're going to be exploring on the Front Range, is that this is a really, really good way for you to get your touch of Colorado, right? To really feel like you're in Colorado and that you're immersed in nature without necessarily needing to live in the mountains and take on everything that comes with living in the mountains, because there is a lot to take on there. That's why I think this is the perfect blend of these big lots that you're going to see. These big lots, all the homes are a little bit different. There's nothing cookie cutter out here by any means. You feel the very sort of like private nature that you have because this is a private neighborhood, but it doesn't come with everything that again comes if you were to move just 10 minutes further west into the mountains. It is a completely different world there. So Ken Carl is one of my absolute favorite places. It's on the more southern side. It is more centrally located, and you're right off of 470. So it's real fast to get north or south or out to the airport if you live in this area. Coming north here, there's one other area that I want to mention here for the foothills. Well, let's call it two other areas, but this is going to be Morrison. So Morrison is where Red Rocks Amphitheater is located. All right. Morrison is going to be fairly small, very, very small actually. And you've got this little historic downtown area, which is really cool. And you've got a lot of older style homes, but then Morrison is actually, as you start, expanding out, pretty expansive, and you'll have some homes through here as you kind of cut into Morrison a little bit more that are just absolutely gorgeous. And then one area that I do want to mention just over here on the east side of 470, this is a new build community. Out here, you're going to find just more of your traditional tract style builder homes. All right. Now, this is still Morrison. You are very close to the highway here. So heads up, there's definitely going to be some highway noise. We've sold a handful of them out here, and it honestly isn't that terrible at all. I'm very sensitive to that stuff too, and it's not that noticeable by any means. This is really unique because you just can't find other new build homes in Morrison necessarily, right? Don't get me wrong, you can definitely find some that have been brand new custom home builds, but when it comes to just a neighborhood of new build homes, this is pretty much going to be the only one that you're going to find out there. So definitely unique, definitely close to the mountains. You're going to have good mountain views here. And when it comes to Ken Carl and Morrison, I think these are a couple of the best places you could be to be close to the mountains, slightly in the mountains, but again, without needing to adopt everything that goes into that. Now, the final place that I want to mention to you guys here for foothills Front Range living is Golden. Now, Golden is going to be a very historic town. It's an old mining town. You have the Colorado School of Mines here. The homes that are in downtown Golden are very similar to what you're going to find in downtown Denver, except much older. There's homes here that are built in 1900s, 1920s, 1930s. You are going to feel the homes being reflective of that. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here down to Street View to show you guys just a little bit about what these homes look and feel like. So looking at this, these are probably more 60s, 70s, but I'm going to keep coming down here because really what I want you guys to see is all the pine trees that are around. You guys see all the foothills and stuff here that are in the distance. This is very, very desirable area. It is an area though that there's very limited supply in Golden. Man, this is inching me forward. Like 2 feet per second. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit because, one of my favorite things about Golden is the downtown area. Here, as I'm going closer to the foothills on the west side, you're just getting a good feel for sort of what the neighborhood looks and feels like. When I compared it to Denver earlier, this is a good comparison. You're going to have, similar sized yards as you would in Denver, but then what you will have here that you won't have in Denver will be big open fields and trails and everything like this. Golden is definitely a touristy type of location on the weekends. This is a place where there's good restaurants. They have that, little downtown strip that everybody loves going walking on. Again, it is a college town. You've got the School of Mines here. So kind of a dichotomy of, young college students, but then you've also got people that have lived in these homes their entire lives. You're going to have a good mix of people. But that's why people tend to like it, because it is good college town vibes with old historic homes and just a really good mix of culture. And if you guys are looking at some drone footage right now of the downtown strip, man, this is a great place to come on the weekends with your family. So whether you live in Golden or not, it's definitely somewhere you're going to want to come visit. So now that we know a few good areas in the foothills for you guys, let's dive into some more of the traditional suburban type of communities. But before we do that, I've got to remind you that we are licensed real estate brokers. And as much as we like making these videos, we'd love more to help with your real estate needs. So there's a number popping up on the screen right now. If you guys show us a phone call, text message, or email, we are the guys that answer the phone. We'd love to help you out. But with that being said, let's jump right to it. Hit Google Maps and dive into some of our suburban areas. All right, so to paint the context for you guys a little bit, let's highlight just exactly where these suburban areas are at for the most part. So let me open my handy dandy marker here. Now, again, we've got Denver in the center, right? Now from here, we're going to be looking at some primary areas. We've got Boulder here up top. We've got Aurora. We've got Lakewood. We've got Littleton. We've got Arvada. We've got Superior, Louisville, Broomfield, all great areas. Castle Pines. We've got Castle Rock down here on the bottom. Pretty much all of this is Parker. And then we've got Highlands Ranch and Centennial. A lot of our primary suburban areas that we have, but I'm not recommend them all to you and go over them all with you, but I am going to touch on some different areas here. Starting off up north here, let's call it a Boulder, Broomfield, Superior. These 3 areas right here are some of my favorite if we are looking to be on the north side or northwest side. Boulder, you guys have definitely heard about Boulder. College town, you've got CU Boulder there. You're definitely paying a premium to live in Boulder. You're nestled right up here in the mountains. So this is a really good blend of that city living that I'm talking about earlier, faster paced city life, but you're 10 minutes from the real mountains up here in Boulder. So this is a good blend of the 2 of those. Now, some other good options for you are going to be Superior and Broomfield, and I'll throw Louisville in there as well. All of these are on this corridor, Highway 36, that runs from Denver all the way through Broomfield, through Superior, until you get up here to Boulder. So with Broomfield and Superior, you're literally sitting halfway between Denver and Boulder. So whether you're working or living in either of these areas, this is not a bad commute whatsoever. It is all highway. So this is great for people that are looking for, let's say this area, Superior and Broomfield, for those traditional style homes and neighborhoods with community centers and a bunch of kids and schools and stuff like that. But you're close to downtown Denver and you're close to Boulder, and being physically pretty far northwest, you do get a lot of good mountain views there. Let's go ahead and come down here a little bit more now, south to the Highlands Ranch and Littleton side of things. So Highlands Ranch is going to be very traditional. Most of these homes were built in the late 1990s, early 2000s. So a lot of the homes there have had some updates done to them or could potentially need some updates done to them. Same with Littleton. Littleton and Ken Carl, very, very similar. Ken Carl, again, being more on the west side. We talked about this just a minute ago. Being more on the west side, you're definitely going to have more of those views. Now, I think one important thing to mention with all of these areas, it doesn't matter where you live in any of these suburban areas. I do like noting that you're not necessarily going to feel like you're in the mountains and see the mountains everywhere, right? Because unless you're actually in the mountains, any of these other areas are, pretty flat for the most part. You just have like regular urban and suburban landscape. Obviously, once you face the west side here, then we've got our gorgeous, mountain views. They are the Rocky Mountains. You can see them anywhere. But if you're not living, in Morrison, in the mountains, or in that Ken Carl area, or in Evergreen, some of these places that are further into the mountains, you're not really going to feel much Colorado there per se. However, the further west that you go, the closer you're going to get to those mountains and the more Colorado it's going to feel. All right. Touching here on Castle Rock and Castle Pines. These two are, in my opinion, I always lump these two together. They're synonymous with each other, Castle Pines and Castle Rock. One thing I love about these areas, and I'm just going to zoom over there for you guys, is that you actually feel like you're in Colorado when you go down to Castle Rock and Castle Pines. As silly as that sounds, because obviously you live in Colorado, sometimes it doesn't really look like you live in Colorado for the reasons that I just mentioned. But here in Castle Rock, you can see that, you do have a lot of just these hills and a lot of terrain that is around here. You do have a lot of open space. You'll have on these new build areas, homes might be a little bit closer together. That's just a Colorado thing in general, but you're going to see a lot of open space or golf courses that are around here. There's so much to do here in Castle Rock. And I feel like Castle Rock is one of the places where nature comes to you versus you needing to go to nature. Even in a Highlands Ranch area where, you're physically further west and closer to the mountains, there's not as much nature within Highlands Ranch. That's the one thing that does change with Castle Pines and Castle Rock as well. So when it comes to places that we recommend, Castle Rock is definitely one of the top recommendations that we give to people because it really does encompass new build style of homes that a lot of people are looking for with the Colorado terrain that they're looking for. There's a lot of things to do there as far as shopping and dining, great family activities and stuff like that, and really, really good neighborhoods and communities there as well. All right, so now let's go back to Denver, back to downtown, and I want to show you guys some of my favorite areas that a lot of our clients also like moving to. So not just Eli's opinion, also the data from our clients. We're talking Denver. You guys have heard us talk about this before. So this immediate downtown area, you're not going to find a whole lot of residential going on there. Don't get me wrong, you will have plenty of condos and skyscrapers and things like that if that is what you're going for. But a lot of people that are coming to Colorado, they're coming here for the outdoors, and they at least want a little bit of a yard. So a lot of people that are wanting to go to the closer downtown area, they're either getting a home in one of the surrounding neighborhoods or a townhome where you can park in your garage attached to your home, walk in, you've got your little backyard where you can grill and stuff like that, take the dogs out. So we don't see a whole lot of people that are necessarily moving to this immediate downtown area. This immediate downtown area is pretty much going to be, this would also be called lower downtown, Lodo, right? Now, right outside of Lodo, this is where we're going to have some notable neighborhoods like the Highlands, Sloan's Lake. Up here is where we're going to have Sunnyside and West Highlands. And then we've got Park Hill, Central Park, Cherry Creek, Wash Park. You got Civic Center Park here, Cheeseman Park. All of these areas are what I would consider urban suburban, all right? To where you've got these suburban style homes as in just like a neighborhood, right? Tree-lined streets. You guys can see from the drone footage I'm sure we're showing you. Tree-lined streets, smaller size city lots, but hey, that's not why you're moving downtown for a big yard. You're moving there for the character, the culture, the lifestyle, but it is a really good blend of, hey, plenty family-friendly neighborhoods down there, right? Because you have parks everywhere. That is one thing with Colorado, guys. There's parks on almost every single corner. So when it comes to having a dog in the downtown Denver area or having families and kiddos where you want to take them out into strollers and everything, a lot of these urban suburban type neighborhoods, they're literally just perfect for that. So let's talk about some of these. So if you guys have been watching our channel for any amount of time, you guys know how much I love and am a fan of the Highlands. The Highlands is one of those places, to me, just covers so much. I'm going to go to our Google map right now. And what do I mean by covers a lot? You're going to have just a really good blend of a little bit of everything there. You're sitting just on the northwest side of downtown Denver. You're going to have plenty of apartments and condos and things like that. But then you're also going to have plenty of single family homes. You're going to have plenty of really cool, trendy places to go eat. Some of the best restaurants we have in Denver are in the Highlands area. And you guys can see just from this shot right here, you've got some of these big apartment buildings and condo complexes and whatnot. But you've got your classic Denver style homes here. You've also got modern contemporary new build homes here. You've got plenty of parks. You're 10 minutes from downtown Denver and so many good coffee shops and a couple speakeasies and just restaurants. It's a very cool, very trendy place to be. Let's talk a couple other places here, urban, suburban style. So let's cut over here to the Park Hill area. Right here, you've got City Park. City Park is where you're going to have the Museum of Nature and Science. You're going to have the Denver Zoo here, in addition to just a giant park that is City Park. With that being such a good central landmark in here, there's always stuff to do in this area. You cut just across Colorado Boulevard right here, and this is where we are then entering into South Park Hill. So South Park Hill, again, gorgeous area, classic Denver style homes, and just beautiful, quiet, tree-lined streets. I'm a huge fan of this area, and in particular because you can walk to the museum or the zoo, and if you have kids or a family, that's, I mean, you know how much of an advantage that is, because you can go there 3 days a week. Just get the zoo pass or the museum pass. That's what my wife has, and they love it, and they go and do that stuff all the time. Now, let's go ahead and scroll down just a little bit, and we're going to talk about these other two areas we've talked about quite a bit, but that is going to be Wash Park, Cherry Creek North. All right. Now, Cherry Creek North, this is one of those areas where you're going to have a little bit of an and. You're going to have the new, modern, contemporary, upscale style of living, right? Higher end style of living, really nice shopping and dining. Another place where some of our best high-end restaurants are going to be is in Cherry Creek. You also have that more fast-paced Denver life, right? Wash Park is going to be another sort of and neighborhood, because you have gorgeous homes, tree-lined streets, nice and quiet during the week. It does get a little bit busier on the weekends because so many people come to Washington Park for volleyball and cookouts and just having Sunday fun day sort of things. So that does get a little bit busier on the weekends, but still, when it comes to the neighborhood culture and just vibe that you're going to have there, it is really, really hard to beat. And guys, when it comes to living in the actual city and county of Denver, there is so much more to offer, but these three places, Cherry Creek, Lower Highlands, and Wash Park, are some of my top 3 recommendations, and where a lot of our clients do end up going for those people that are looking for the single family homes, but still being downtown, kind of in the middle of it all, right? Whichever bucket you guys fall into, whether it's, mountain bucket, mountain and nature, suburban, nice family friendly communities, or the downtown faster paced lifestyle, you've got some good recommendations here as promised. Now, this is another thing, guys, that we do on these Zoom calls. When you call that number that is on the screen below, this is exactly what we do, only we do it custom tailored to you. We find out about your situation. We find out about things that are important to you, things that aren't important to you. And then we do a screen share. We pop open the MLS, punch in your criteria, and then we give our 2 cents on some places that might work for you, in addition to some of the ones that are already catching your eye from watching these videos. So if you haven't done so already, guys, give us a phone call, text message, or email down below, and we'd love to help you out. As always, appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you in the next one.